Welcome back to part 6, as if you haven't had enough of these mouse videos yet. This video is going to cover mainly adding uh, multiple levels, adding more levels so we have more than just our one level. How to skip levels to test them so we don't have to play through every level to test them. And also how to get some animations into our level. So to begin, what we want to do is we kind of just want to copy our maze 1. So let's go into our library, click on maze 1, right click, duplicate, and remember the naming convention needs to be the same. So instead of maze 1, we're going to call it maze 2. And then remember when we made our first maze, you absolutely have to positively do this for this to work. Make sure you check export for ActionScript and that class 2 says maze 2 just like your name. And this is just because the way we have things set up. This is the way our program will be able to create new mazes with code. So once we have that done, just go ahead and click OK. And if we leave it exactly like that, let's just test it. Let's make sure it works. So I'm going to say start. We have, oh man, okay. I got to stop being so bad at this game first. But bam, we won. Well, why did that happen? We have another level now, but we never updated our variables to say which level was the last level. So let's go under Actions, tap F9, and we go to the very top. If you remember, we added a new level. So the number of the last level is no longer 1. The number of the last level is 2. So let's change that. Save it and run. And now we have start. Okay. Let me get this. Come on. I didn't think this would be that difficult. There we go. So I just beat it, and now I'm on level 2, which looks exactly the same right now. And if I beat it again, it says you won. We restart, we're back to level 1. So cool, we know that works. Now let's actually change up our maze. So if we go under maze 2, double click on it, we have start point MC and end point MC, which is good. And let's fill in these extra points on our base. So let's lock our points layer, unlock base, go to our fill color, change it to black. We'll use paint bucket tool, and we'll just click on this. Just make sure you have base selected, and we'll just click in between there, so that way we fill that back up. And let's change up this maze a little bit. So we're going to unlock our points layer. We're going to take this point, and we're going to go under our align tool. We're going to align it to the vertical center, and we're also going to align the end to the vertical center, just to switch things up. So now we can lock our points layer again, and we click on base, and now we just need to erase the spaces that we want the player to draw on, or to be able to move through. So I'm going to use my oval tool. I'm going to change my fill color to, let's just say yellow so I can see it. You can use whatever color you like, it really doesn't matter. Click on the center of start, hold down shift and alt until it covers it. I'm going to click on the center of end, hold down shift and alt until it covers it. And now if I delete out these points here, there we go. We have empty spaces. And now let's actually get this to work. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to try and make an object, like a giant circle with a little cut in it, and the mouse will have to stay inside that circle to get to the other side. And I'll just show you what I mean by actually creating that. So first thing we want to do is we want to make a line from start to end. Okay, oops, and remember, use our line tool. Let's change the stroke up to, I don't remember what I used last time, but I'll say 10 for this one. Click and drag. There we go. And now I'm just going to, oops, remember, so let's make sure let's hide our points really quick. Let's make sure we have this all selected. Remember, underneath modify, we can go shape, and we want to say convert lines to fills, so that way it actually overwrites our fill. Or you can just draw this with the brush tool or the rectangle tool, whatever you want to use. I'm going to tap delete, and there we go. Okay, so I'm going to unhide our points again. Now what I'm going to do here is, you know what? Actually, that's not big enough. I don't think. Let's make a bigger line. So I'm gonna make a bigger line really quick. I'm gonna say 20, which I think that's what I actually used last time. So when I draw it, use my selection tool, double click, make sure it's all selected. I'm gonna go modify, shape, convert lines to fills, click away, click again, delete, and make sure that, there we go. So now we have enough space for the mouse to get in. So now I'm going to go into my oval tool and make sure my line is set to no stroke, or my stroke is set to no stroke. And we're just going to draw a big circle right in the middle of our stage. So I'm just clicking in the middle, holding down Shift, and pressing Alt. And it's not aligned perfectly, but that's not the end of the world. It's not going to destroy things, okay? So once I have this circle here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, if I move it out of the way, you see it's already got rid of that space. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just select it, and instead of deleting it, I'm going to tap F8, and we're going to make it a movie clip, and I set the registration to the middle, and I'm going to call this rotating circle. All right, and I'm going to go inside of it. What I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to make this a little bigger. So I'm going to use my free transform tool. I'm going to make it just a bit bigger. Oh, does it need to be bigger? No, it doesn't. We can leave it the same size. Let's leave it the same size. I'm going to turn it black like the rest of my stage. And basically what we need to do is cut a hole in it right where our path meets up. So I'm going to use the line tool again. I'm just going to use 20, kind of go, I don't want to go all the way inside of it. I just want to go a little bit. There we go. And remember, if it's a stroke, it's not going to erase, so we have to double click. So we select all of it, modify, shape, convert lines to fills, and now we can delete this. And now we have this spot where as this rotates, we can put our mouse and rotate with our shape. So once we have that done, what we need to do is actually get the animation and make an animation to have this rotate around in a circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a classic tween to do this in a pretty simple manner. We're going to click on, let's say, frame, let's make this long. Let's make this up to frame 120. I'm going to right click, click insert keyframe so it makes a copy. Okay. Then on anywhere where we have these filler frames, we're just going to right click, click create classic tween. Now I have a tween from frame 1 to frame 120. It says it right here. So now what we want to do is click somewhere on this line here in this these purple frames where our classic tween is, and where it says rotate, we don't want it to say rotate auto. You want to change it either clockwise or counterclockwise, and I'm just going to use clockwise. So what we want it to do is rotate one time throughout this entire animation. So now if we, let's go back to the beginning. If we play it, this is what it's going to look like. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I want this to take 4 seconds to rotate around. So I'm going to change the frame rate to 30, and that'll change the frame rate for everything in our game, but this is the only animation we have, so we're going to leave 30. 30 is a good number. And now if we play it, it'll be just a little bit faster. But it kind of looks like we got something weird going on here, so let's test this out in the actual game first, make sure it all works. All right, so we are going to go back into our game. And if we were to play this now and run it, right, we'd have to beat level 1 to test level 2, right? And now this is kind of working. Well, the optimal or our best way to test this, because what if our level's really hard and we only have 3 lives, right? So how are we going to get to like level 3 or something without messing up? If we're not good at our own game, we got to be able to cheat to test it out. So let's go underneath actions. And if you remember, we started our current level number of 0, because when it starts, it'll get the next level and say, okay, now we have level 1. So let's change this to 1, okay? And we say, need to reset to 0, all right, just so we kind of remember when we're done with everything. And if we run this now, we click start, we start on level 2. And let's just test this. And now this is way too hard. I don't think anyone's going to beat this. So let's change this up just a little bit. We are going to go into our library, click on Maze 2, double click, go inside of our movie clip here. And first of all, what can we do? We want to probably make this a little bigger. So let's go See, can we change this? See, we have width and height up here if we select our circle on frame. So click on frame 1, select our rotating circle, and we have a width and height. Let's change the width and height to, let's say, we want to keep a square, right? So let's lock it. We'll say 250 by 250. All right. And then if we go over to 120, we also want to say 250 by 250. All right. And it goes a little too fast for my taste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right here, and I'm just going to drag it out to, let's say, and we'll change it up to 240. So we just click on that, drag it over, click on that, drag it over again, and save and play. And now it moves just a little bit slower. But let's make this even easier than it is, just because for now it's level 2. We don't need to do anything crazy. Let's go into our line. Let's go to stroke. We're going to change it to 40. And if you don't like how it's rounded like that, that's what cap does. If you change cap to round or square or none, it'll look differently than this little circle we got here. But I'm going to change this up to 40. I'm going to click in the middle of our start and drag a little bit further in. And now we have, oops, what did we do? Here we go. Because we're not inside of our movie clip. So let's go inside of our movie clip. Duh. That's where I should have changed that. Oh, man. Okay. Well, this will do for now. Let's not worry about it. So I'm going to click size 40. I'm going to click and drag. Not, if we want it in the middle. Yeah, let's go to the middle. That'll make things interesting. So I'm going to click and drag over our rotating circle. And what I'm going to do is going to select this, modify, where's it, shape, convert lines to fills, select it all, delete. There we go. And now let's make sure that this works. Okay, so it's having trouble putting it back to where it was, because we modified frame 1, right? But we didn't modify frame 240, and it's kind of causing issues. And so let's do this. All right, let's reset everything we've done. So let's go into our library, and if you notice, we have tween 3 and tween 4, and these are the shapes that you might have different numbers. Mine are tween 3 and tween 4. These are the tweens that Flash creates to help it move using any animation. So because we didn't create a movie clip or anything like this for our classic tween, it decided to create these on its own for us. So let's go up here on layer 1, just remove that tween really quick, and in our library we're gonna click, hold control, and oops, just select each one, and we're gonna right click and press delete, and it'll get rid of it. So that's a problem though, right? So let's undo that. The way we do this is to get this to not be part of that tween. So you notice when we went inside, it said tween 3 right here. What we have to do is break it apart first. So right click, break it apart. And if you're not sure how to undo, it's Control Z or Edit Undo, in case you missed that step there. And now, you see when I broke it apart, it got rid of our classic tween, right? Or actually, we already got rid of the classic tween, so never mind. But now we can delete tween 3 and tween 4, and this part here stays because we broke it apart and it's no longer referencing that, but 240 goes away. So now what we can do is, if we're sure of this shape, we can just copy this keyframe, or copy frame, I guess, it really doesn't matter. Copy frame 1, and we're going to paste it on frame 240. And now just the same thing, we can create another classic tween. You could even leave those old tweens in there if you like. It's not really going to do much, but I like to clean things up. So click on this, on our tween up here, and make sure the rotate is set to something that will actually work. And save, and press play. And now we have something that's, I think it's doable, right? We could actually play this game. So let's save and run. We click start. We should be starting on this level here. So if we click start, we gotta wait for this thing to go around. This might be difficult. Oh, got it. I got it. I got it. Oh, bam! There we go. And that might be a little difficult, but you can make it easier by basically slowing it down so you can just drag this frame out more. If you think that's even still too hard, we could drag this even to, let's add, I don't know, another second. So instead of 240, see, another 60 frames would be 2 seconds. So let's say 300. We just drag it out, press play, and now we have 300 frames where this moves just a little slower and makes it a little easier. So you can create as many animations as you want. You can do it that way. You can use shape tweens. You can use whatever you want. But I just made a rotating circle. And now if I play our game, we have a nice little animation there. The cool thing about doing it this way is that we can drag in as many copies of our animation now as we like. So as long as inside of our rotating circle movie clip / animation, see right here, let's double click, we have this right here. So now what we could do is, even just to test, or just to show you that this would work, I'm going to use our GUI really quick, and it's not going to actually do anything, but it can drag on a rotating circle, drag it on again, use our free transform tool and resize it. So I'm just going to shrink this one down, and I'll leave this one the same, and we can even have these maybe overlap, like one inside the other. I don't know, this might get a little crazy, but just to show you that it'll actually work, we have this one now where now it's even a little more difficult because this one on the inside changes sizes and it forces you to go on the outside. So you can play with this. You can make a bunch of pre-canned animations. You could have something getting bigger and smaller. You can have maybe doors, whatever you want. Have things falling from the sky. It's up to your imagination, and you drag and drop, and there you have all the pieces to make more levels. So before we go on to the next video, let's change the current level number back to 0. We can say, can change this to cheat for testing. Okay. The other way you can cheat for testing, if you want to go through all your videos, is if you go down into our update game function, excuse me. Remember when we hit test our point, this is where it says lives lost. Well, what we could do is we could put a return right here so that it'll never get passed anywhere else. Or we can just say and false. And the way this works is, when you do an and, it's going to check to see if this is true and this is true. So if you put a false, it's always going to be false, and then it'll never end up doing any of this stuff. But let's just do a return, because what this return is going to do is going to completely stop doing our update game function. Remember, return, and well, return is returning void, so it's not returning anything, but it's just jumping out of this function. So just to prove to you this works, we have return. I'm going to run it. Now I can click here. I can do whatever I like. Click end and I win. So I can click start, do whatever I like, click end and I win. Okay, restart. And so let's go ahead and go under actions and put this back. And we'll say can return here to cheat for testing. All right. In the next video, we're going to go over cleaning stuff up and just making it look a little prettier. All right.